My name is Josie Bowen, and this is my Unit 1 presentation for mythology. I'm going to be talking about the myth of Medusa today. And I'm sorry if I'm looking at my computer, I just have a few notes that I have wrote down. Medusa was one of the three sisters of the Gorgons. These were ugly, horrendous monsters, beast, if you will. But Medusa was the most beautiful one out of them. And because she was the most beautiful in the family, her family actually banished her from the family. Sorry, I said family so much there, but it's true. They banished her from the family. They hated her because of her looks. And so she was out on her own. And through this, while she was out on her own, she was looking for love of a family or love of another one, as one would do in this time. And she met Poseidon, the husband of Athena, or I guess you would say husband, I guess. And Athena was actually a virgin. Now, Medusa and Poseidon had this love affair going on, and they were having sex all the time, whatever, and he actually ended up impregnating her in Athena's temple, in her house. So when Athena found out about this, she was very upset, as a girl, any person would, not even just a girl, any person. And Athena turned her into a horrible, ugly monster. She had fangs, pointy teeth. She had these slithering, like, two-sided tongue thing, some people say. She had snakes for hair, of course, and she was so scary looking that when anyone looked at her, they would turn to stone. That was her signature trademark, of course, that pretty much everyone knows about Medusa, that she turned people into stone. Well, after this, of course, she had, they describe her as having golden hands and wings of gold, just like her other sisters of the other Gorgons. And then, after she had turned into this horrible monster, she went into hiding. And over in Seriphos, not sure if I'm saying that right, this is another city, town, whatever you want to call it. The king of Seriphos, his name was Polydectes. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right either. He sent Perseus, that was one of his soldiers or one of the men that wanted to be in his army, sent Perseus on a quest, which he was hoping that would be his last quest, because he didn't want him there anymore. It was just like he was an annoying little bug. So he sent him on this quest to fetch the head of Medusa. And of course, this was a crazy quest he was sending him on, and of course he didn't expect him to come back alive. So Perseus, with the help of Athena and Poseidon and I think one of the Gorgon sisters, he was trying to find Medusa, and he did. He come upon her in the land of the Gorgons, and while Medusa was asleep, Perseus looked into the shield of Athena for the reflection, to not be able to, so he wouldn't turn into stone looking at her. He looked into the shield and sliced her head off with a sickle. I guess that's like an ice pick or something. I'm not really sure what a sickle is. But he sliced her head off with that. Now, her legacy did not end there at all. Okay, so after Perseus got her head, he stuck it in a bag so that he wouldn't look at it and turn to stone or anything, because it still, of course, worked. And he took it back to Seriphos city, and on the way he had, of course, her head in the bag, and he was dropping blood along the way, and every time a piece of, like a drop of blood would hit the ground, it would turn into a snake. Thought that was very cool. But he got back to Seriphos, and when he got there, he turned Polydectes and all of his vicious islanders into stone, because he knew that they'd sent them on that quest because he knew that he was going to die. So he did that, and then after he turned them into stone, he gave the head of Medusa back to Athena as a gift. And that's pretty much all. After that, she kept the head, and she would turn in everybody that she didn't like into stone, all that kind of stuff, and used it for punishment purposes. Now, analyzing this, one of the questions that I'm just going by, what does it tell us about the culture that produced it? I believe that they believed and created their own religion. And they wanted something to literally like make all this stuff. Just like if people believe in God, they believe that God created the heavens and the earth and all the trees and stuff. And so that's why they made these gods, because they had the sea of, the god of the sea, they had god of love, so many, like god of lightning, like just all this kind of stuff, all of those. And they wanted a legitimate set out plan of how the world was created. And of course everybody wants to do that, but they just went out and did the biggest thing ever, And they were very, very wishful thinkers, because they actually believed that these people physically lived in a mountain or on a mountain in the sky. That's kind of crazy right there, but it's whatever. And these gods were considered heroes because, Hercules came down and saved a lot of people, and he had crazy things that he would do to save others. They would go on these brave quests and go into wars and stuff, and that's kind of like it was like these heroes were these people that they looked up to, but also the culture that created this Medusa myth also knew that these gods weren't perfect. Christians think that their God is perfect and he's never made a mistake. He's unhuman, But these gods, they are part human. That's why they had a love affair. That's why they mess up sometimes, That's why their family kicked Medusa out. No god would do that, but their gods did. They knew that they weren't perfect. And I think that they wanted some sort of safety, knowing that all of these creatures and gods and stuff were there. They were there to protect the humans when they could. Another question, it was, what cultural norms does it suggest are important? I think beauty is a very, very big thing in this, just because with her family throwing her out because she was the most beautiful of all of them. And then when Athena found out about the affair, she didn't kill her or she didn't hurt her. She just turned her ugly. I think I'd be a little bit more mad than just turn somebody ugly. You know what I'm saying? But that was just the thing. It was, if you were ugly, you were terrible. It was the worst thing that could happen to you. So I definitely believe that that was a cultural norm for people to be judged on their looks, on their beauty or their ugliness. Let's see. Also, I believe that the status in their culture was very, very important, because the status, your fate determined your status. And fate is a very big cultural norm back then also, I've realized with trying to research these myths. Fate was a huge, huge thing that they believed in, and fate, that happened. Like, your fate is what is going to happen. One of the side stories off of one of these, I think it was one of a soldier. He was being sent off to war, and his mom was like, if you go, your fate says that you're going to die in this war. And that's what the normal was. Like, everyone had a fate. Like, that's what was going to happen to them. Now, I don't know how they got these fates, if they were in a book or if, who knows. But that was a very, very normal thing for them to do, was to have fate. And another question, it was, well, it's not really a question, but why I picked this myth is because I've always loved Medusa. I have, from the beginning of looking into stories and everything, and it's really devastating that they haven't made a movie about Medusa yet, but it's just what it is. But I love the thought of her. It's kind of like woman empowerment. She didn't stop the ugliness from stopping her. She didn't let the ugliness ruin her. She still stayed strong. She could turn people into stone. I mean, that's insane. And I think the snakes is the hair thing, that's just a wild thing going on. Also, when she died, I thought this was very, very compelling for me. I even told my friend that I was writing, kind of taking these notes from. When Perseus cut off her head, she was impregnated at the time with Poseidon's kids, and there were two kids. And when she died and he cut off her head, the children were birthed through her neck. So that was I know that these myths are made up, and most of them are based on what other cultures believed back then, but I just think that is so outlandish and crazy that people ever even thought of that. Also, it really baffled me about the affairs in the gods, just because of, I'm a Christian and I know that my God is perfect and he isn't human. Affairs are a human impulse of something we're not supposed to do, And these gods had these affairs, and they felt the same things that humans do, and I think that was very, very interesting to me. But why I picked this myth, it's just because it's very, very cool about woman empowerment, and I love it. So thank you for listening to my presentation, and that will be it.